Okay, that's working, huh? This is my plan for today, is to see how this works. Do you think it will work? Let's see if anybody pops in the first minute, and then I'm just going to go because I haven't done this in a while, and I don't really care that much. I can play the Glockenspiel, though, just for everybody's pleasure. Amazing. I'm also sharing the wrong thing for now, as I think reading first is probably going to be a little bit more interesting, perhaps. All right, my plan is, I had this bookmarked. Browserslist now supports baseline. And so Browserslist is a shared, I guess Jeremy's calling it a utility here, because multiple tools need to know like what browsers you plan to support, which is like a little bit interesting. So Babel and CSS are two. Lightning CSS is another one that I know supports it. And so you can say in one place, you can say, these are the browsers that I intend to support, and multiple tools can honor that choice. I think that's pretty smart. I think that's, us developers doing smart things. So I'm all about that. The question is, okay, so Browserslist, you can put something in there like above 0.5% of browser usage, meaning like certainly like the latest Chrome is a lot higher than that. And then it goes down, but it as soon as a browser drops below 0.5% of global usage, not my favorite thing to do, but sure, those tools that process like JavaScript and CSS into something else that those older browsers support stop doing that just for any browser that's like under that number. That seems pretty cool to me. That seems to make more sense. But now it's saying instead of doing it that way, rely on Google's baseline values instead. So I just want to, apparently that just works now, and we'll see if that's a good thing or weird thing or bad thing or what by reading this. So that's what Browserslist is. And so let's get as far enough as that we're actually doing it. I think that's probably the more interesting part anyway. I have Zed open. I've been using Zed lately. I can maybe just switch to Zed. Yeah, cool. And then we'll make a new project. That's just new file, huh? I'm just going to have to do it on my desktop, I guess. Baseline Browserslist, I'm going to call it. Then if I drag it in here, how's that going to go? Not well. I'll just open it by dragging it. Oh, now I'm in there. So where's my sidebar? Is it because there's no files in here? New file. Save. I don't know, package.json, I guess. Where's my sidebar? View. It's got a file in it now. Maybe I'll just close it for a sec. It's sharing nothing. And then if I open it in Zed, will it just by default give me the sidebar then? No. Project panel. There it is. Okay, whatever. And there's a terminal in here too. I never use the terminal in here, but for streaming purposes, I thought it might be interesting. It's command backtick in VS Code. It is here too. Great. So I want to install like something that's going to use both Lightning CSS and Babel potentially. And then we'll configure Browserslist in different ways and see how it affects the code. That's kind of my goal for this thing. And I feel like Vite would just do that good. So maybe we'll just run Vite. Yes, I allow you to do it. That's a fine name. I think we just want vanilla. I definitely don't care about JavaScript frameworks. Probably just JavaScript is fine. Do I want roll down? I don't want to use it at all, really. Oh, so now Vite project. Now we're like one folder deep. Kind of classic problem. Not the world's biggest problem, but whatever. And then we have a browser. Is there a browser right in Zed? Probably not, right? It's going to open up another browser window. That'd be cool if there was. I heard Cursor's got one in there now. A little weird to have baked in browsers. I wouldn't trust it generally, but it's kind of interesting to have. Anyway, I don't really care to see what it has at all, because we're just looking at code input and code output for the most part. So all this stuff, I guess we care a little bit about it. Inner HTML. Fine. I just don't want to start with anything, though. I don't want to start with your stuff. I want to be more considerate about what we're testing. We don't need any SVG. We don't need like a bonus JavaScript file or whatever. Is there then a dist folder? How do we make Vite? What's in the package.json? Can you make it build? We can go npm run build. Does that give us a dist folder? Oh, it's invalid. Invalid package.json. Oh, because I'm not in the right folder. I need to go in there. npm run build. Then we get dist, and we get assets, and we get JavaScript assets. So it's doing a bunch of JavaScript, even though we haven't written any lines of JavaScript whatsoever. This must be some just like boilerplate Vite, I guess. So it's doing, I don't know. I wonder what this does do. So mutation observer for childless. I don't know. That's interesting that Vite has decided we need to watch link elements. Maybe it's for hot module reloading, but why would that be in the dist folder? I don't know what this does, to be honest with you. That's okay. Let's focus on CSS to start with. So we do need like a index.html file, or no, does that counts as the index.html file, but it's not linking up the CSS interestingly. Why would it not be linking up the CSS? And it links to a Vite SVG file that's not there. That is weird, but okay. Is there no Emmet in? That's funny. There's autocomplete, but no Emmet. Why would it autocomplete an SVG file? That is awkward. I guess we'll just write it ourselves. How do you have to do it? You have to link to it from source. Okay, source and then style.css. Fine. And the way it did it with the JavaScript is without a dot. So, okay. Do we get any assets if we build now? Probably not, because there aren't any. Ooh, it did make an asset. It just doesn't have anything in it. Okay, that's cool. So if we were to go like body, background red, and hit save, we're going to have to build every time, which is a little unfortunate, but so be it. It's going to be body, background red, and it's going to be all smashed down. So Vite has some built-in tooling for compressing CSS as well. I don't know what it's using. Is that Lightning CSS already? I don't know. I don't know what Vite is using. It didn't ask us really, which is interesting. That's why I have opened this blog post over on Old CSS Tricks about compiling CSS with Vite and Lightning CSS, where they install Vite, vanilla, which is what we did, cleaned up house a little bit, and then linked up a CSS file, ran npm build, so we're so far so good. But where do they put in Lightning CSS? Okay, they're going to do layers. Maybe we'll use that too, because that is interesting from a perspective of like, what does it do to like down compile that? So Lightning CSS, this is sort of implying to me that it doesn't use Lightning CSS and that you have to put it in your Vite config. So, okay, we'll do that. Let me switch back to Z for you all then. I need to switch to Z as well. So we'll npm install Lightning CSS into this project. Did that go fine? This package.json is ours and doesn't matter. This is the one that matters. Lightning CSS is now in there. Cool. I hope roll down doesn't, maybe it's roll down that's doing the compressing, the thing that we asked for, almost certainly, right? Why is there an override? I don't understand anything. Okay, is there vite config? Does vite just have no config by default? Apparently, because npm run build still runs, right? But if we were to make a config file, vite.config. What was it? MJS, which is module JavaScript, I suppose. If we run it now, is Vite mad at us because it has a config file that has nothing in it? Yes, that's what I would expect to see, I suppose. So we'll steal Ryan's config file. Oh, not there. That's just going to error here. Is that enough? Vite npm run build. It is enough. I wish I could just open this CSS file and just leave it stay open. That was produced by Lightning CSS this time, and it's really no different. So we can't prove that Lightning CSS worked, but I think it probably is, right? So what's the kind of thing that Lightning CSS would change? Well, let's go to the Lightning CSS website, I suppose. Lightning CSS, and see what kind of things it does. So it would change OK Lab into older stuff. And look at target browsers, last two versions. That's the kind of thing that Browserslist does that we're going to swap out for baseline and see what kind of changes it makes. So if we made that the background, I gotta keep switching apps in my streaming service here so you can see that all this stuff can go away. We made, instead of background red, we're going to make it background this OK Lab flavor. Will Lightning CSS choose to downsample it? It does. It makes it a hex code and it makes it a lab value instead of OK Lab. So it has decided that that CSS needs to be changed to honor the Browserslist, but we don't even have a Browserslist file yet. So maybe we should continue reading in Ryan's article a little bit about how to change that. So Lightning CSS change. Oh, he does lab too. That's hilarious. I swear to God, I didn't read this article. We're just thinking in the same way here. In this case, it made 3 versions of it. Ooh, so we have to install Browserslist to use it? I would have thought that would have been easier somehow. Okay, well, I'm down to install useful tools. It's fine. So instead of switching back a million times, what I'm going to do is install Browserslist here, and then I'm going to import the stuff I need to import and then pass this inside the Vite config, and hopefully it will be honoring that. So this is the last time I'll show this just for now. Z, I'm going to switch to U, and I'm going to paste this command to install Browserslist. So now we have that in our package.json, correct? Yes. And then I can do the importing and stuff. So in the Vite config, we need to pull in a couple of different things that we need to do it. Hence MJS, I guess. So Node knows for sure that we're going to be using ESM imports. I guess that's why you do that. It's surprising to me that just .js wouldn't work. Probably it does work. But I'm down to be specific if we need to. So now we have a really narrow set. Any browser that's above even that, which is probably goes back pretty far. I bet the extra 0.25% here probably adds quite a few browsers to that list. Goes back in time even further. Let's see if it has changed this output at all. If we do this now, is it going to run? It does. That's good to see. No changes here though, so that's fine. Let me check what Ryan used. OKLCH instead of OK Lab. Let's hit save and see what we get from there. So I'd have to open this then. That didn't run. Oh, that's because I have to npm run build. It does have a watcher, but the watcher just runs like hot auto reloading or whatever. It doesn't automatically run build. Could we do that? Like, is that a thing to do? What if I opened up our Vite config and just asked Claude Code or something to do it? Sparkles, Claude, we're in Claude, right? I guess so. Does it not like that? Well, it keeps putting it back. And I put something, I'll just add this to the context. Can't I do that? Or do I have to write at Vite config? Can we update this config file such that the Vite watcher actually runs npm run build? Is that the right way to ask that? It'd be interesting as soon as I hit save, it runs npm run build rather than the watcher or whatever crap. I don't know if I'm absolutely sure there's a way to do this. I wonder if there's some like really chill Vite way to do it. Although that's encouraging. What else could we put in the CSS that it's likely to like down compile or something? That's like very fresh CSS. So the at layer was one of them, right? Layer, reset, body, margin, 0. I have no idea what it would do to a reset. Ooh, oh, look at how much code it had to do. Build on change. Okay. And then is there, do I have to call a special thing? What's going to call build on change? Plugins, build on change. Is it npm run dev? I guess. Let's delete that. The dist file. Then if I hit save, does it come back? Oh, it does. It worked. Thanks, Claude Code. We didn't have to think about anything. That's nice. It will have a different file, different name each time. Ooh, now that we're on a roll with that, I kind of want to try one more thing then. Can I reopen that little Sparkles? Can you also update it so it doesn't fingerprint the CSS and JS assets? I normally like fingerprinting. That would be a reason I would use Vite. Might be the only reason to use Vite. Not only reason, but like if I had to pick one favorite reason, I like tools that help me with cache busting like that. But for demonstration reasons, if we could not fingerprint it, then we could open this file to the left and to the right and kind of see the output of each. Of course, we could easily do this in CodePen, but I'm doing it outside of CodePen because we don't have a Lightning CSS block just yet in CodePen. Okay, ooh, that's encouraging. Maybe this will do it. Let's delete the dist folder. The server's already restarted, so just saving this file should run, and then, ooh, they're not fingerprinted. That's great. It's almost tempting to tell it don't minify the files either. Can you also update the config file to not minify the CSS? Or JS, I'll put, because maybe we'll get to JavaScript through Babel too. Presumably Vite can run Babel also, right? You'd think that would be something in here like, where do we tell it to use Lightning again? Isn't that not in, is that not in here? Oh, transformer. So the transformer will be Babel for JavaScript, theoretically. Minify false. Great. And it already restarted. God, what a nice little tool, huh? So if we hit save here, we're going to get this. And then can we split it? Oh, wait, that already is the asset index. How do I split it? Can I drag it over here? Nice, nice. So it did not affect this. So now if I hit 10 pixels here and save it, that's 10 pixels there. So it doesn't touch layers. I don't think it knows how to touch layers. Can you believe we did this? We're like freaking developers over here or something. Right, but if this changes values, now these are going to change values. Oh, how satisfying is that? What can we make? No, now we need to get Browserslist in there, right? Isn't that what we're doing? Can that go into your package.json? Ooh, that'd be nice if it could, but I bet in this case it's going to be here. So the point of that article we are looking at, that it now supports baseline, we should put that to the test, is the point. So I do need to switch back to Arc. Is it going to be positioned weird on the screen? Of course it will be. Nothing's easy. This Jeremy's article. When adopting a baseline target, you have three options. Baseline widely available, probably seems to make sense. So features that have been interoperable for 30 months or more. Wow, that's a bunch of years. Newly available of 30 months or less, pretty specific. Baseline years, which target a specific feature set by year. That means any features available in that year and years past are available to use. So you could say, how about 2023 or something? Or it looks like not just a year, but a specific date. How interesting. So if we just say that string, these queries can be used anywhere in your project where you have a browser's list config. For example, a browser's list RC file. That's more interesting to me. I like that better than burying it in the Vite config, but we keep getting distracted about little details like that. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Let's just put this string in there and see if it supports it. It doesn't really say what version of Browser's List now supports this. Maybe it's just more magical than that somehow. Switch to Z. Hello, Z. Browser's List, and we're just going to put the string. Save. And, oh wait, then I save this file and it will run. Yeah, did it change anything here? No. Does that mean it worked? What if we put fart sandwich here? I would hope that it fails. Yes, unknown browser query. Maybe you're using old browser's list or made a typo. So that's proving that baseline widely available is, I guess that's what we expected, but I'm glad we got it to work so cleanly. Widely available is the 30-month one. So baseline of widely available, maybe we could say like today or something on, what's the date format? I'm just going to look without switching browsers because I'm sure you don't care that much on this. So 2025, 11/5. Is that, you should have picked a date where it's not ambiguous. Is this the month and this the day, or is this the day and this the month? It's probably I'm just an American, so I assume it's how we do it, but a little unclear. Save. It's still backported OKLCH for some reason. Interesting. You'd think baseline widely available for OKLCH would not touch it. Like that would be fine. But it's not. So anyway, we'll just leave that alone for now. Unless today is like too ambitious of a thing. We'll do yesterday. No. All right, so let's find some more things that that baseline would affect. So we know that one. And Ryan was messing with layers, but we just proved that it doesn't touch layers, so that's less interesting. What else will it do? So transpilation, does it have some more examples in here of what it would do? Here's a full list of flags. So nesting, that's an interesting one. Let's try it. So body, and then if we put main inside here, I know I need to switch my streaming target to Z. Main's background will be white though. We'll hit save, and are we gonna get it? No, it unnests. Wow. It unnests even nesting, even with a pretty ambitious baseline widely available. Let's kick that off. Save it, save it. When do you get to keep nesting? All right, so let's keep changing this browser's list target. Would it be any browser with greater than and not dead. Save. We get the same thing there. So nesting is pretty. What if you put like what is like really ambitious here? Any browser is greater than 10% or something like that. Super high. Yeah, now it's going to allow nesting in there because it's basically like this is like super new. Only browsers with huge amounts of browser support like Chrome and Firefox and Safari, presumably. Maybe not even Firefox in there with the 10%. So that's very modern, and it left OKLCH alone. How far do you got to go down? So 9, save. Can I split this down below? Yeah. Beautiful. Where is it? 9%, 8%. How far do you got to go before it's like, oh, I caught another browser that I need to down compile for? We'll go to 5%, 3%. Oop, come on. Ugh. I'm still not super used to Zed. What about 1%? Save. Yeah, at 1%, it's like, oh, now you've caught another browser. Who knows what it is? Some older version of Safari, or who knows what, that has decided that there's a browser in use that has more than 1% browser share that does not understand nesting. So that's interesting. But we're here to check out baseline again. So baseline, widely available. And remember, widely available is, so it's definitely going to do this, right? Oh, it doesn't even like OKLCH. Newly available is another one, which is much different. So if I hit save, I wouldn't be surprised if it put nesting back. Yeah, so newly available does mean that it's supported across browsers, but it could be as of yesterday. It says 30 months or less. Isn't that what was written in the ARC thing? We changed it. In Jeremy's article, baseline newly available, which includes features that have been available 30 months or less. Less could be anything. Less could be 5 minutes. So that's interesting. Or baseline years, so it's only these two. Oh, or just straight up a year. Oh, interesting. So you can target COVID. Be like, that was fine when that started. It's all good. Or you could go way back to 2015, baseline 2015. What a cool, now that I'm playing with it more, I like it more and more, I think. Zed. So we could just say baseline 2015. I have no idea what that would do, but it's definitely going to unnest. Oh, and there it goes back even older school. So if we said 2021 here, which one goes away? Probably the P3 one goes away. Yeah. Cool. That's fun to look at, isn't it? Interesting. So baseline newly available is risky, I'd say. But it will, there's probably still some things that it would whisk away, isn't there? What about like that shape syntax? Like that's not supported by any browser as far as I know, right? But that's so new that I bet Lightning doesn't even have anything for it. Kick, hello? Is this based on a certain editor and compiler? It's at the moment we are forcing it to use Lightning CSS. So that's the compiler that's changing this CSS into this CSS. It's doing it through Vite just so we have a watcher and stuff. But the fact that I'm in Zed here is kind of irrelevant. But we just want to look at some input, get processed through Lightning CSS, and then looked at here. Let's go back to that list in Lightning CSS. The not selector. Yeah, let's grab. Can I just grab all these so I don't have to keep switching back and forth? I'll go to Zed, click my little Z icon here, and we'll make a new file. This is readme.md, and we'll paste them in there. So the not selector is interesting. So we'll say main. Well, yeah, we can screw with it. And not home. Has would be more interesting, wouldn't it? So is this gonna, it's allowing nesting because we're doing baseline newly available. Can you do newly available with a year? Sorry, let me go look at that. That would be more interesting to me because it feels like newly available is like a little too, no, you can't. Newly available just is what it is. That's the risky one, but kind of the fun one. But anything that's not available at all, I'm not sure what it does. So, hey, dog. I have a little dog. You want to see the dog? This is my daughter's little puppy. Hmm? Hi. That's Lulu. But you're bored. Too bad. Streaming is exciting and fun. Get on board. Get a Twitch account. What is an example of a CSS feature that's straight up not supported everywhere? Is there anything on this list that's like that? Okay, lamb, space separated color notation. Yeah, that's fine. I don't see anything like shape syntax or whatever, but that, I wonder if it, because it doesn't know what it is, it would just be CSS shape syntax. That's, come on, Jeff. Give me a copy and pastable like that. Go back to Zedster. And if we had some like dot shape that used that, is what happens. So it comes out as just dot shape because it's kind of like, I don't know what to do with that. Lightning CSS doesn't have anything inside of it that tries to help you there. It could and should, if you ask me, because it's totally back portable to an SVG syntaxy thing. So that would be nice if that worked, but it doesn't. No, Lula's eating something. It's just a book. I don't need that book, do I? Okay, interesting stuff, interesting stuff. What else is on this list that we could watch get messed with? Light, dark, that's a good one. So background here, instead of white, it's light, dark, white, black, save. It just leaves it alone and newly available, but if we changed it to widely available, nothing. We get, what do we get? Oh, it ports it to a variable. Lightning CSS light is light and dark is dark, but where's that variable defined? That's weird. How does it know what to do there? You're just going to get, oh, it's, why is that so confusing to me? What do you get is to do something in the output and index to make that work? No. Neither of these will be defined, so it's going to be light. Like, that doesn't seem like that is making light dark work to me. Is there something in the JavaScript that makes it work? No. Yeah, that doesn't seem like something that would that is like a true fixing of that. But I guess if it's like, well, if the browser doesn't support it, we're kind of doing the best we can here. Like it, but it doesn't make it work. As far as I know, that's not going to make light dark work. You'd have to be on your own to fix that. That is so strange. Okay, what else is on this list? The not selector is has on here. Find has. No. Also weird. Is Lightning CSS up to date on this stuff? Vendor prefixes. The one I always think of is mask. right? Or will it add a prefix if it needs to? So we'll say dot mask is just mask with like a URL value. How do you come out? Yeah, it adds the vendor prefix for you in this case. And then what's our setting at? Widely available, even widely available. Or if we said that, would it get rid of the WebKit? It does. So eventually that does get removed. Remember, newly available is the one that's like the most progressive thing you can possibly do. So do you want this is one question that I'm not, why did I spell it wrong? Widely. Do you want this is the question that I'd like to have a clear answer for, that I'm not sure that I do have a clear answer for. You know, is it better than saying, you know, over this? Like, is baseline somehow better than this global support target thing? I'm tempted to say there's a little bit more intelligence in baseline, but also that baseline doesn't, I don't know. What is my problem with baseline? I know I have one general problem I have with baseline is that it doesn't help with progressive it doesn't help explain things that are progressively enhanceable or not, but I don't know that that applies here, because this is progressive enhancement, or it's trying to happen here. Like that, you know, it's a different consideration, a baseline widget that's just trying to explain to a developer who's just glancing at it if they can use that feature or not. To me, that matters. If that developer understands if that feature is like polyfillable or progressive enhanceable or whatever, and it doesn't do that job right now, which annoys me with it. But this is just information for a compiler. You know, it's not for a developer glancing at it. So it seems like the baseline data is probably better than arbitrary global browser usage information. Like, I almost trust Browserslist data to be more up to date over time, especially because, like, where does this browser usage data come from? It's probably not ultra super mega reliable anyway. Perhaps the data source gets worse over time because it's just not an official source to begin with, probably, that kind of thing. Let's see if there's anything else in the blog post that like tries to convince us that it's a good idea to use it rather than just saying it's available. Due to the popularity of Browserslist, the WebDX community group maintained a third-party package to create a Browserslist config named Browserslist. Okay, so there's already some precedent here. However, the Browserslist team has now included a set of baseline queries in the product. So this little typo, no problem, package is no longer necessary to take advantage of baseline in your tool chains. You can now use baseline in any tool chain. Okay, and now we understand this bit. These queries can be used anywhere in your product. You have a Browserslist config. Be sure to experiment with some of the queries and see how it affects the output of your production source code. That's exactly what we're doing. If you need guidance on which target to use, read How to Choose Your Baseline Target. Okay, we should do that. This is a big development in the tooling space for baseline. We're grateful to the Browserslist team for their collaboration with this, particularly with moving targets such as baseline widely available that evolve to include an increasing number of qualifying features over time. Yeah, that's the whole point of this, is that it changes over time, that years later, your code is like perhaps doing less backporting of features because it doesn't need to anymore. So what should be our baseline target? This is relatively recent. Oh, these are years. So if we put 2015 in there, it's like, dude, that's a lot of support. And if we went all the way up to 2024 last year, we've lost 10% of people or whatever. RUM is real user metrics, which I highly support because it's not based on global usage of browser. I've tried to bang that drum for very many years that the browser usage statistic that matters comes from analytics on your website, that global statistics don't matter almost at all. It's what matter. Who comes to your website is what matters, and RUM statistics would be what supports that. So if you have, I suppose, if you have Google Analytics on, you could hook it up to that and get real information. What happens if you don't have that data? Then, even older baseline targets, those well beyond the 30-month widely available window, will still have the best support. When widely available is a good default target. Special use case. So widely available is kind of what they're offering. Newer baseline targets, such as the current year or before, are likely to have the least amount of support for your users. Yeah, of course. You'd only use that if you're like bleeding edge, or you're enforcing a version of what's that Chrome, the thing that you build apps out of, and you're like, make a quote unquote native app out of it, Electron or whatever, then you can like enforce exactly what's happening in that browser. Baseline widely available, well supported. Widely available is an excellent target. Or you can go older. So it's like go baseline widely available or older if you don't have data. How do I enforce it? Oh, that's funny. They should update this. Use baseline with Browserslist. So they did update. Oh, no. This is back when it was a community project. They're telling you how to use it here, probably, without reading every detail of that. That link should link to the new link, probably. What about features that don't meet my baseline target? Well, then you have to figure it out. Is it progressive enhancement, so it doesn't matter anyway? I really like this. Like, what is happening here? Is it critical? Then you got a problem, ClearLeft uses, oh, interesting. So ClearLeft, pretty trustworthy thing here. They use widely available. That goes a long way for me to agreeing with that. Pretty cool. Every web application has different requirements. Sure. An e-commerce site that can tolerate more incompatibility concerns. That's surprising to me because you'd think e-commerce would be the one that couldn't tolerate incompatibility concerns, or to a government website that must absolutely be available and operational to as many users as possible. Heck yeah. I think both of those websites should be as available to as many people as possible. So, of course, what you can do then, if I switch to Z, is set that baseline super far back in time. So in the config that we are fiddling with, you could say, baseline as far back as 2015. And there's probably some people that in this world are like, why wouldn't I set it to that? Why wouldn't I want to support as many people back in time as I possibly could in the entire world? It's like, I don't know, because you do lose some features then. It's not that, nesting is not a big deal because it just unnests and nobody will know the difference, except for it'll be a little bit more code and things like that. But you do straight up lose light dark. It just doesn't work anymore. It looks like it's trying to work, or it's giving you a mechanism that you could make it work if you wanted to, but it doesn't work. And it's more code and all this stuff. So there's more work on you to think about like, oh, okay, I need to like manually intervene with some polyfill stuff. In that way, whereas if you go higher, you get smaller code, you get more efficient code, but you get code that also may not work for anybody. So it's kind of like you have work to do either way, in a weird way. Go too old, you have work to do. You go too new, you have work to do to get good support. So what about 2022? Are we going to get nesting back? Nope, we don't get nesting, but we get a little bit less color manipulation stuff and whatnot. So. And nobody's even touching layers because I don't think that's a particularly polyfillable thing. So that's fun. We have this going now. I'm kind of running out of time today, but it's tempting to keep this going and then look at, maybe tomorrow we could look at Babel and JavaScript processing that should, when we change baseline, I think it will use the same thing. I've seen baseline widgets like less in JavaScript documentation, but they must have done all the work to make it work too, because that's the point of Browserslist, is that it affects tools like Babel as well. So we'll have to see how it affects Babel. That should be interesting. I'm glad we got as far as we did, though. This is a kind of a nice setup for testing these features. So, all right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. See you later. Goodbye.